Today I'm making a Santoku style chef's knife. I'm making this from a piece of W2 flat bar, 1/4 inch thick that I have. I marked out where the tang needed to be and then took that over to the portable bandsaw, cut out the excess, put it in the forge, and then forged the tip. So this piece was 1/4 inch thick, so I didn't forge the bevels. Really, it was too thick. I would have ended up with something like a cleaver, or at least had to have ground a whole lot of steel off. So really just forged the tip and then took it over to the 2x72 belt grinder, did the profiling on it. I used the surface grinder attachment on the 2x72 to reduce the thickness. I brought it down to just a little bit over 1/8 of an inch. I'm using some die chem so that I can mark out the center line on the edge and then go back to the grinder and do a rough grind on the bevels. I used some Satanite and distilled water, mixed that up into a paste, coated the spine of the blade. That way when I heat treated it and quenched it, it should give me a hamon on the blade. So I heated it to 1480 Fahrenheit. In the kiln, let it soak for about 10 minutes and then quenched in Parks 50. So this is after quenching. No warps, no cracks that I can see. Now I'm going to temper at 400 Fahrenheit for about an hour. So after I had the blade tempered, it was time to do the final grind on the bevels. Just using a little block of wood to press the blade up against the platen. I sanded up to 220 grit on the belt grinder. Then I moved over to hand sanding. Hand sanded up to 1,000 grit. Now I'm electro etching my mark on the blade. I'm using a template I made on a Cricut and a battery charger, connecting the positive terminal of the battery charger to the blade and the negative terminal to a cotton ball, and using water and salt solution, dip the cotton ball in there, and I just dab the cotton ball on a rag to get most of the excess liquid out. Hold it down onto the knife blade for maybe 15, 20 seconds at a time until I'm satisfied with the way it looks and what the depth of the etch. So this is after the etch and ferric chloride. I use 3:1, 3 parts water, 1 part ferric. I did 4 etches, about a minute to a minute and a half each. And after each etch, neutralize it with some baking soda and water solution and Windex, and then did a light sanding using 2,000 grit sandpaper and Windex until I got to the final 4th etch. I used ballistol and 3,000 grit sandpaper. I wanted to give it a little bit of a darker finish. It looks like the moan actually comes right down to the edge of the knife there, which means that this is probably not as hard on the edge here as it is the rest of the blade. It comes right up close to the edge, so I should have decent hardness right along the edge, but not much room for wear. For the handle, I'm using a piece of Carribean Rosewood knife block. I'm going to cut that in half and cut out a little shim of nickel silver and a piece of African ebony. So for the handle, I drilled a 9/16 inch hole. Then I took a half-inch dowel pin, cut that in half, put that on either side of the tang so it would fit in the hole. That way I didn't have to drill a slot into my handle. I used JB weld on the very front edge of the handle there, hopefully to try and seal moisture out. And then also used G-Flex epoxy for the rest of the handle. Put that in the vise, let it dry overnight. So the handle was just a little long. It was over 5 inches, so cut a little of the excess off on the bandsaw, took it over to the belt grinder and started shaping the handle. I hand sanded the handle up to 1,000 grit. Then took it over to the buffer and buffed the handle. Always a scary thing to do with a knife. So I used Norton stone and my Arkansas stone to sharpen the blade. It's razor sharp. And there's the finished product. I have a new Santoku chef's knife made from W2 high carbon steel with a hamon and ebony and rosewood handle. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.